What's up, fam? It's Brian Castro. So it's been a long week. I'm finally kind of getting my voice back. I've been sick kind of all week, so it took me a little while to create this video based on episode 5 of The Last of Us, which, in my opinion, this is the best episode by far, hands down. And I really loved it. But first, I want to address something. There was a model, America's Next Top Model, and I give you her name, but honestly, she don't deserve to even be mentioned. If you want to look her up, she was on America's Next Top Model. I guess that gives her a lot of credit to shame Melanie Lynskey, who is a phenomenal actress. I loved her since Two and a Half Men. She's absolutely phenomenal. But one of the things that this model had said was that she was not believable because she's a curvy, like, first of all, she clearly didn't watch this because she was, and I'm going to go again. I told you from the beginning I'm going to be referencing The Walking Dead, and because I have not played the game The Last of Us, so as a horror fan, a huge Walking Dead fan, I'm probably going to reference characters, but the way she played a villain was very reminiscent of the Governor, and in my opinion, the Governor was probably the best villain in the Walking Dead universe. And the reason why I say that is because he was very cold, just didn't care about anything. And he would do whatever was necessary, deceive anybody to get what he want. And we see this here with Kathleen, played by Melanie Lynskey, where she basically said, I don't care about the kids. Kids die. And you could see how cold and calculated she was. She promised that she would help people, and then just basically told her people to burn them alive. She was ruthless, and she was a perfect villain. She did a fantastic job. So Melanie Lynskey, seriously, amazing job. And to the Next Top Model, go do something else, because clearly your credibility is incredibly flawed. Maybe you can take some pictures somewhere. But anyways, let's get back to the episode, because this episode was phenomenal. We see the beginning where we see these people who are considered collaborators with Fedra, and they basically were giving them information so they can get, little bits of basics to help, stay alive. And we see how Fedra came, killed and hung people because of the actions of the collaborators. And I get it, the collaborators were just trying to survive, but they ended up killing a lot of the people who were the resistance because of the information that actually eventually led up to Kathleen's death. Or not Kathleen's death, but Kathleen's brother's death. And by the way, I would love to get a prequel to see how Kathleen kind of rose to power, and I'd love to kind of see her brother, how he played a role into all this. I think that would be a great sort of prequel series. But anyways, now we see Fedra coming in. They're ruthless. We see Henry and Sam watching them, literally dragging a guy through the street behind their truck with knives in all over their bodies. So these people from Fedra are some horrible people, and you've got to wonder what that does to a child. And of course, Henry's, he's telling him to be quiet, and he's just worried for his, I initially thought it was his son, but it's actually his brother. And all this is kind of taking place kind of at the same time as what we saw in the previous episode, where Joel is crashing into, because this has happened simultaneously. We see the doctor that Kathleen ended up killing, and he was helping out Henry and Sam. He got him food and everything. We saw Henry look through a window while Joel and Ellie were dealing with what they were doing. But there's a couple moments that I kind of want to speak on, is because one of the things that doctor said to Henry is that he said how Sam is scared, and he's scared because you're scared. And he is basically reflecting off what you see. And so, he tells his younger brother that everything's going to be okay, but we need you because everything in here is ugly. And he gives him crayons, and he starts painting superheroes because he sees himself as a superhero, and that helps make him brave. But honestly, in this moment, I think that was giving Henry bravery. He needed Sam's bravery to help him, because I believe without Sam, he really just did not have a will or a reason to continue going. And Sam being brave there gave him bravery. And you see him paint like the superhero on his, just an absolutely powerful moment. Probably my favorite moment of the whole episode. But then we see Henry finally meets up with Joel. He tells him that he was a collaborator, which Joel doesn't like, but he says, I'm going to help you, get out of the city in the morning when the sun's up. And he's talking to him, and he turns to his younger brother, Sam. And I love that he's including Sam in all this, because he has like those old, toys where you write on them, you rip up the paper and it comes off, and it just starts all over. And he tells him about the tunnels. And if that does not remind you of Jaquai in season 1 of The Walking Dead, I mean, she literally mentioned how she knew about the maintenance tunnels and how to get out. And this is literally how they are going to get out of the city. But this notepad actually becomes very big throughout the episode. We find out that Sam is deaf and has leukemia, and this has been weighing on, of course, Henry's mind, how he's keeping up. And it's impressive that, he taught, they learned how to do sign language. Of course, I don't know how much they knew prior to the fall, but I'm assuming they must have learned throughout, all this, craziness that's going on. And they're going through the tunnel, and they come across this like children's room, it's kind of eerie, but it's cool. And you see Sam and Ellie, they're starting to connect, and they're starting to actually be children for a moment. They're playing with toys. They come across a comic book, and, Ellie loves this comic book. Sam loves this comic book. And it mentions the title of the episode, which is Endure and Survive. And, the episode and this moment is reminding me of Just Survive Somehow in The Walking Dead. A lot of great parallels. I'm still losing my voice, but really cool. Now they get out of the tunnel, and they're coming in like this old kind of rundown town. You see, Henry, he's like talking smack. See, look what I did for you guys. I got you out. And of course, Joel's saying, be quiet. They're going to hear us. And eventually there's a sniper out there who starts shooting at him. And we learn as he goes, Joel goes up to him and he eventually kills him, that he was not really trying to kill him. He was trying to hold them in one area so that way Kathleen and her men could catch up to him. Which, my goodness, this final showdown was epic. But I gotta, everything about this was fantastic. So he's shooting him, and then you got Kathleen and her group. They're coming, and they're, they got like the big trucks with the plows plowing through cars, trying to get them and basically killing them. And this is where Kathleen is showing how cold she is, and she's talking, because Henry eventually does come out while Joel's up on the top, sniping people with the sniper rifle that he took from the dead man up there. And and Henry's like, just let the kids go. And Kathleen's like, no, they're a part of what they did, and kids die. It's not, who cares? Life goes on. But then, holy shit moment coming up, because one of the trucks that was coming through, Joel had sniped, and it went into this house. House is on fire, and the ground just gives below. The truck sinks, and then you hear the noise. It's coming, and all the the military guys, they turn their guns, and if my eyes went at this moment, because this was a Resident Evil, the World War Z type moment, because these fast fuckers came up out of the ground and just started attacking everybody. It was wild. It was an amazing scene. And then, they're attacking everybody, and you see the slow motion of the bloater, which, by the way, was played by Adam Basil, who was a stuntman on Game of Thrones. So an interesting connection. Of course, we know Ellie and Joel were also on, on the Game of Thrones. So I like that little connection there. But, Kathleen's right-hand man, he tells her to take off and start running, and all this commotion, and the bloater comes up, just literally rips his head off. This thing was, and he was taking gunfire, that bloater, and it literally did not faze him. Meanwhile, Joel's sniping everybody. This is a wild and crazy scene. And you see Henry and Sam underneath the truck. These zombies are trying to get at him. Ellie climbs in the back of this vehicle where this little baby clicker, which holy shit was wild, but she ends up trapping him in the car. And then, Joel's finally coming down. They're trying to get away. And then Kathleen at the last moment says, she was in her last moment going to kill them. But then if justice was not, if karma was not working, I don't know what was, because that little baby clicker came up and it kind of reminded me of A Christmas Story, when, he's beating up the bully with the gloves and everything, because that's what that clicker was doing. It walked, and then all of a sudden, just started eating on her, and it was wild. But hats off to Melanie Lynskey. She was phenomenal. If she doesn't get an award in this, I'm going to be disappointed. Great episode. But then we come into, back at the hotel, and it's really cute because, again, Sam and Ellie are connecting through this comic. His brother, comes in and tells him they got to go to bed. But, they end up staying up. And this is where that notepad thing comes into play. And, they're talking back and forth. And he asks her, "Are you scared?" And she says, well, she makes a joke about scared of scorpions. But she says, "I'm always scared. I'm going to be afraid of alone." And one of the things that he asked, which was really intriguing to me, because he says, if you turn into a monster, are you still inside? Because I think these zombies are still aware that they are, being controlled by the zombie, but they just can't stop it. Like when we saw Ellie, mess with that zombie underneath the store at Cumberland Farms, I do believe that they are alive, but just have no control of what's going on. But Sam reveals that he's bit, and which is absolutely heartbreaking. But then Ellie tries to, she tells him about her blood, and she cuts herself on her hand and puts it on his ankle where he was bit, and says, "My blood is medicine." And he asks her, "Will you stay awake for me?" And she says, "Yes, I promise." And love the use of sign language. I don't know a lot. I know, you're welcome, or, thank you. But absolutely heartbreaking finding out he's bit, but she falls asleep. She passes out in a chair, and we see him sitting on the side of the bed, and she walks up to him, and he went from 0 to 60 real fast, and he just jumped on her, started attacking her. He was incredibly, crazy zombie. And of course that wakes up Joel and Henry, who come in. Joel ends up having to shoot his brother, which is heartbreaking, and eventually shoots himself, which was, I hated losing them both. I thought at least Henry would have went through, but then we see, they bury them, and another completely heartbreaking moment that just rips at your guts. We see Ellie take that board and say, "I'm sorry," because she realizes that she couldn't stay up like he asked her. But unlike the Frank and Bill, episode, where I don't believe that added to the story, I think this does, because I believe this changes who Ellie is. Having to see her friend, she finally made a friend, get shot right in front of her, and just seeing this violence, and of course everything that we just saw, I believe that moment really changed her, because she thought that she was, finding family and friends. But what did you guys think? I love this episode. Shout out to Melanie Lynskey. Fantastic portrayal of Kathleen. The bloater coming up slow motion with the fire in the background. If that was just phenomenal camera work. Absolutely loved it, and special effects. But yeah, I loved it. What were your favorite parts of this? Again, I have never played the game, so for my gamers, please tell me what you thought about it. Were these episodes close to the game? Did they mirror some of you know, the gameplay? Was there something different? But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I love you guys. Let me know your questions in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Love you.